Hello and welcome to Vassals of Kingsgrave. We're back with DragonCast this week for episode 6 of House of the Dragon, titled Smallfolk. So we're here to discuss this episode, and I am joined by Bing.
Hi, this is Bing. Highly recommend any people with the Discord name A to join in these episodes in the future as well.
Just to stick with alphabetical order, my name is Casey, also known as Blue-Eyed Queen on the forums or Discord or wherever, really. Adam?
Yes, my name is Adam, also known as drownedsnow. That's why I'm here in the D's.
Yeah, Adam, why don't you go by your first name?
Howard.
Less mysterious.
Matt?
Hey, what?
Michal?
Hello, everyone.
And Katie.
Hello.
All right, and I know that last week we had everybody on the Blackfire cast do a little bit of a small council, but I'm going to say that we're all rogue houses of the Riverlands.
Yeah, we don't want them to know what our time. My master just keeps things on lock, so if they don't know who's master of coin, they can't go to the treasury.
I had to go back. I mean, it is apropos because I did have to go back and figure out where a bunch of these houses were, because I never paid attention to the Riverlands until this series, honestly.
Who are the smaller folk anyway?
Yeah.
Genuinely, I have heard that in my head many times. Usually when,
All the time.
Ulf is on screen. I'm like, who are the small folk anyway? Let them stop.
Yeah, I didn't know the name of this episode was Smallfolk until you just said it a minute ago, and I'm like, I guess that fits.
Yeah. All right. So, just so Bing doesn't have to go first, I'll give my lemon cakes first. So this week, or I guess we can go. Let's call it five random boats coming into King's Landing.
Supply boats.
Yeah, supply boats out of 5. Or no, I was going to give it a 4.5. So somehow the half boat made over. But I really enjoyed this episode. I know not a lot of people were as enthusiastic.
Thank you, Casey. Jesus Christ.
I know not as many people were enthusiastic. I want to say that my half point off is mainly for the Nettles thing as a book reader and kind of getting... I love the Damon stuff, but it's also getting a lot that every time there's a new character from the past that shows up, I'm like, ooh, that's fun. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was fun. I wasn't half bored like I was last episode. That's how I'm feeling. All right, Bing, now you can go.
All right. Actually, I don't mind this episode. I'm giving it 4. More so that I actually enjoy the small folks. I actually want more focus on the small folks. Again, that's actually people who I actually support in this entire story, not the two sides really. So that's positive in my mind, and I think things are actually happening. So as opposed to the last one. So I wasn't on the last episode. I would have probably given that one 2 or even a 1. That one was pretty boring. Even the Damon tripping his balls scenes things were more interesting in those sequences. So yeah, I don't mind.
All right, Adam.
Yeah, the small folk who Bing claims to support. We'll see. I actually didn't hate this episode. I just as we were talking a second ago, the claiming of sea smoke bullshit was kind of stupid. And if they're if this is going to be Nettles erasure, then fuck them. I'll give that 1 star if we have that in an episode. But this episode was definitely better than last week. I'd give it a 3.9. Rhaenyra fleet supply boats out of 5. There was a really great scene with Patty Constantine coming back and Damon. A lot of work with Damon actually that wasn't boring and time wasty this week. The Alice Rivers stuff actually felt like it's going somewhere. She was helpful, and there was definitely some cool moments in this episode. So yeah, I wasn't bored.
All right, Matt.
All right. I'm basically inflating it to a 4.75. just out of spite. But I overall, I've liked these past 2 episodes more than I did the first 3. Is kind of my general feel on this season. I just think, in particular, the council discussions are much more productive and less talking around in circles than they were kind of in the opening. And so I feel like things are moving along properly. I'm sorry, I'm fine, Raina taking Nettles' stuff. it doesn't bother. Damon's stuff I'm kind of like, I'm officially like not judging it until the end of the season, but I expect to be mixed. I expect to be mixed overall, but I am kind of just waiting for how it all plays out. But Alice is still despite all that. And yeah, I just thought the back half of the episode really picked up and was engaging to me, and I like a lot of it.
All right. Michal?
Yeah, I mean, I hate saying this because you guys know I love the show, and in the extremely small chance that anyone from the show is actually listening to this, I love the show. I think it's a brilliant show. But this one was not working for me. It was just really, I mean, not even slow. It felt repetitive, and it felt like everything took way longer than it needed to. Alice Rivers is not working for me personally. I don't appreciate being like led through these like fairly evocative, dream weirdnesses with Damon, which I do still have some patience for, even though I don't think they should have done 4 episodes of them or whatever we're on now. But like, I have patience for the concept. And then she just comes in and is like, well, if you weren't such an asshole, like, well, don't you think you treated your wife pretty shittily? It's like, why are we making this text? Like, why can't we just have Damon come to this by himself? And then, like, and why does he care what she thinks? Why is he calling her Alice? Why is he, like, taking her advice and listening to her? And like, I don't know. It's not working for me. I liked most of the stuff in King's Landing with the nobles, the Smallfolk, who even are they? And I'm actually with Matt. I'm not a huge Nettles person, so and maybe if I read it more than once, I would be, but I'm not. And I do think that the actress playing Raina has like a really interesting vulnerability to her. Like, I find her very interesting to watch. So yeah, that was good. But right now I'm just, yeah, this was maybe my least favorite episode of the series. So. Dun, dun, dun.
All right. I think that it's good to have a, wide range of feelings with this, because that's what makes part of this so fun. All right, Katie, your turn.
I'll give it a solid 3 out of 5. I liked it better than last week's episode, even though I think they have similar problems. We have got to get Damon out of Harrenhal. Matt Smith doing good work. It's great to see Viserys again. I mean, those 2 scenes made me very emotional. It's good character work, but the fact that we got a preview of him escaping Harrenhal and then Alice caught him right as he was getting on the dragon made me so furious. We were so close to getting out of here, and then she summoned an owl to her hand. Like, I don't know what was happening.
What the fuck was that?
I agree with Michal. Like, I don't understand their relationship. I don't know why he listens to her. I don't know why she cares. I don't know what she wants. And it feels very contractually obligated. They needed Matt Smith to have so many scenes per season, and so they had to write material for him. And it's like 2 episodes worth of content stretched out across the season. It's Dany and Karth all over again, driving me insane. Other than that, I mean, I thought the scene with Rhaenyra and Mysaria was like genuinely sexy and is like a turn for the characters that I approve of. I was not surprised by it, but it's like, oh, this actually feels like a natural progression between the relationship. So that actually like went a long way for to bump it up this episode, in my opinion. Yeah, I thought it was pretty solid. It's not my favorite, but it's better than last week's.
All right, awesome. All right, so let's go through the scenes here. We have the Lannister army, which includes lions, in front of Golden Tooth, I believe it was. Is that the house name or that town name?
Place.
The cat. I don't know. It's just like a castle, Casey. I mean, it's the it's the funnel. It's the choke point.
Gotcha. And they, instead of taking their army with them to join them on their way to, I guess, the Riverlands. They basically they want to send a raven to King's Landing, asking for Vagar and Aemon to come and be with them. And then we get to the small council where Aemon is pretty much furious. And this ends up with him kicking off Alicent of the council, or from the council.
These Lannisters are so extra. Why are they bringing lions?
I noticed that no one mentioned. I don't know. They just have a lion.
They had multiple.
What's the purpose of them?
I know, like, I'm really like, how is that useful? I actually like there's no way that this isn't RRR. Like, we can't just
The mascot.
I think the show is actually pretty good at setup and payoff. I assume some Riverlords are going to get fed to those lions in the coming episodes.
Doesn't like Jason like die in like the fish feed or whatever, or whichever Lannister twin is marching? Like, doesn't he die in his upcoming battles?
I fully expect a lion will actually eat Jason.
Right? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's definitely.
Maybe the lions are to
feels
distract the dragons in battle. You know, release the lions.
And the dragons are like, what?
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm like, they got dragons, we got lions. Let's see if it works out.
Look at these little cats.
I don't know. It was cool though. Cool. I mean, definitely CGI, but I'm looking forward to Oscar Tully getting fed to like a beast.
Oh no, he does?
I don't remember. No, he does not.
No.
This definitely is not book canon.
Yeah, I think Alicent getting kicked off the council, or I don't know if she really got kicked off the council. He just was sort of like, you have no position, so we've removed your ball.
They basically kicked her off. He was like, you have domestic duties or whatever it was.
He basically was just like, oh yeah, your position doesn't really exist, so you don't have any reason to show up anymore. It was sort of like, you were already kicked off, and I'm just letting you know that you don't need to audit the council anymore.
I hadn't put it together until you described it like you did, Casey, but like, I do feel like that might have been a reaction to how annoyed Aemon was. You know, like he is being bossed around by fucking Lannisters, you know, and like this is a thing out of his control. And he so the next thing he does is assert as much control as he possibly can. And also he's hearing the good news about King Aegon, right? Is that the scene or maybe later? Yeah. And so he's like grasping for like, okay, I'm sending Kristen Cole out. The army's going to do exactly what I want, no matter how many men there are or aren't in this army.
Yeah, the King Aegon waking up is technically later, but
okay.
I think that you're totally right on with the control aspect of it. And I think that it's you know, I kind of hated him this scene. I was just like, you're laying it on so thick. Like, nobody's going to like you. Not that he wants anybody to like him, but like, I feel like he had people liking him, and now it's just like people are like, ugh.
He's got some bros, but what do you think of Alicent in this scene? Because I don't know, because she's been in, I don't know, it's been different, but I don't know, it was just weird to me that she very clearly was like, Aemon, who hurt you? And I'm like, you did.
Well, not solely, but no, that was the best.
I know, but just she was part of his trauma, and it was kind of a weird moment from her. Considering he's been fucked up for a long time. It's, you know, and she only cares now that he can exert power.
Well, no, yeah. I think she cares because I think that she has started to see her children in a slightly different light after Aegon's near-death experience. You know, I think that has really shaken her and maybe shaken loose some maternal feelings that have been previously like iced under by all the politics and the fact that, you know, she was forced to have them while a man her father's age like went to town on top of her, you know. Like I think that that some of that is is receding in maybe the like direness of the circumstances. And I actually kind of, I don't know, I thought that was like an emotionally, like it's not everything Aemon needs to hear by any means, but I thought it was at least a little bit emotionally aware of Alicent to be like, all right, I kind of get why you're doing this, even though I hate you.
Yeah, I mean, she's trying. I was more moved by her later scene where she's mentioning Daron.
Yeah, it's a great scene.
Yeah, and I don't remember because the indication that he was sent away almost immediately, it seems. I don't remember why or how old he was supposed to be when he was sent away, or if that's really even referenced in the book.
Well, it's just a thing you do with your younger children. The heirs stay and learn, and then the younger kids go to, I guess, learn elsewhere.
Yeah, you don't want all your eggs in one basket, sort of deal.
I did like the moment when she touches his face, though. There's a moment of connection where his guard, because he maintains eye contact, and you can kind of see the wall goes down just ever so slightly as he's kind of considering her words, and then he brushes her off. But that's all he wants. He wants his mommy to, touch his face and stroke his hair and tell him he's a good boy, but it's a little too late for that, so he just leaves.
Yeah, I feel like it was her final plea, maybe not so final. I'm sure she'll have more interaction with him, but she's trying to get to him because she's scared of him, honestly. That moment when she touches him, you can see him for a moment be like, this is what I wanted. But then he goes back to bad Aemond and fuck it all.
It's also interesting just because, again, not to super defend Alicent's parenting here, but if we're talking about a major trauma of Aemond's life being his eye being sliced out, Alicent was the one who was actually this is not okay. She really put herself on the line for him. And it's interesting that he still sort of loops her in with that, with the indignities of his childhood that have not been sufficiently revenged. Just a great line.
I think there's some, going back earlier in the season, she, it happened off screen. We don't see what happens when he comes home after he kills Luke. But the impression I got from the way Alicent talks about him in the early episodes is that he was probably not pleased, and she has only spoken about him as a monster since then. So I feel like there was probably a disintegration of the relationship off screen for that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
We also have here Aemond going against Sir Criston's wishes with going straight to Harrenhal, and I feel like Christian's just kind of scared at this point of everything, kind of in the same boat as Alicent, but dealing with it on his own.
Right, yeah. Once you see the napalm, you don't want to go running back into the napalm. It's been a week.
Yeah. All right. So then we go to Dragonstone, where we have Corlys accepting his, or I guess more formally accepting his role as Hand to the Queen. We have Stefan Darklin, who comes in and thinks that he could. He basically accepts being a possible dragon rider at this point. So it was a quick one, but I feel like we could have had more people come in, and I don't know if more people will, because I feel like there are other lords, people who are highborn who fit this profile, not just Stefan. We're just kind of hitting it over the head with all the Darklin, the betrayal that'll probably happen later on. I think here.
I should find this interesting, but I don't.
Yeah, I mean, even I don't really care about this.
Yeah,
it's a checkbox. They need to do this.
Is it the actor too, though? I'm not trying to be mean. I just didn't find him very convincing as a Kingsguard, and I found the most convincing thing was his kind of reverence and oh, this is an honor, and but then I was he doesn't seem very Kingsguardy to me. I know he's gonna be riding the dragon. He doesn't seem like he's all about it. I don't know. It just didn't feel like he sold it to me.
Does anyone any of the Kingsguard really do that? We probably expect too much of them.
This problem I had with this story from the very beginning in terms of adaptation. There's too many random characters.
Yeah, I mean, how many lines did he have before?
It's 4, right? And
yeah.
And how many? There's so many of these stupid Kingsguards throughout these books. What's the difference between this one and that one and that one and that one?
I guess I was expecting him to be more brash and yes, I will claim this dragon and then get roasted. He was so apprehensive.
Theoretically, we should feel a little bit worse for him because this is the guy who went with Rhaenyra to King's Landing, and I actually noticed him. I thought he looked like he was doing a good job, at least as far as looking attentive and sharpening his knife and whatever, because he went as one of the begging brothers or something. And he's also the guy who's father is Kristen Kills at whatever Darkland, wherever it is.
Oh, right, on their way to Rook's Rest.
Yeah, so I feel like they have done some work, but I agree. The actor was oddly like, maybe he was sick that day or something. It just felt a little bit robotic, and it was also, I think
he had way more energy and excitement, like in the like behind the scenes thing, than he did in any of the scenes. So it may not be his.
And it was also, I guess it just felt weird that she was like announcing it to him as she's announcing it to the council. It felt like a strange, like, it felt weird to me that he was brought in without, like, kind of summoned to the queen, which is when his whole job is, like, keeping the queen safe, and that requires being somewhat aware of what she's thinking about. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking this.
Maybe it's an expectation thing, because I'm thinking of, like, Dragon Trials, the Dragon Seeds. They put the call out, and you kind of, it's sort of like who steps forward sort of thing. And that's not what this was. So maybe it's just, maybe I was expecting something a little different in that sense.
Yeah, they're slow rolling it, and I mean, maybe they'll do the call out later, or maybe they won't. Maybe it'll just be maybe we'll just be using Masaria's intel to kind of attract some people.
Yeah, I was kind of looking forward to the dragon rider montage of everybody dying, but it was just me.
100%.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree. I do kind of want to.
Yeah.
I mean, we do know Fire is the champion of House Targaryen, so.
All right, and then we go to Harrenhal, and we have one of our first fever dreams of Daemon, and this one is with Paddy Constantine, who is back, which is great to see. He was I really enjoyed him in the first season, so it's nice to see him back again. This is a good way to get the characters back, but I also feel like we could have done this in like 2 episodes instead of 4 or 5. I don't know how many it's been at this point. But this is his conversation with Daemon over the succession and it going to Rhaenyra and not him. There's a point where it looks like King Viserys is maybe leaning into the throne a little bit too much and getting cut up. I wasn't really sure what that was. But then we get Daemon's "open the door" few seconds, which made me think of Hodor. I don't know why. But we go back. Simon Strong opens the door for him back to reality, and Daemon's like, "The fuck are you doing to me?" and pulls a knife on him, which is just the whole bunch of crazy. Yeah.
I did not think Matt Smith was very good in this scene. I thought he was. I thought he was great when he was like with Sirius and like trying to escape his past sins. But when he was rambling to Sir Simon Strong, I was like, I feel like this is Matt Smith trying to escape this plot. It's like, someone please get me out of here.
I think I said this in the chat earlier. I was like, I've realized that like this is just Daemon. Like he got a message that he got a free vacation to Harrenhal, but he has to sit the timeshare pitch, and it like involves magic mushrooms, and he can't get out. He just wants the vacation, but they're still trying to pitch him.
It's a weird timeshare.
Yeah. Like, look, he even tried to go on his dragon, and as soon as he tried to leave, nope.
I don't know.
I feel like that pitch is like, you're only going to be like a quarter cursed.
Yeah, you can bring other people here and leave them to be cursed, man. It's fine. You can use the curse to your advantage, and it only costs you like 1 gold a year.
My biggest fear is that this is going to be Aemon's fate next season when he's stuck at Harrenhal. He's going to be wandering around the goddamn halls with Alice Rivers yapping in his ear about the Smallfolk, like having bad dreams about mommy. He's going to fuck his mom in a dream. It's we can't do this again.
No. That we absolutely cannot do. For God's sakes.
I gotta be honest, I would be more forgiving of like the, incest dreams or whatever if it's like he woke up and he was in bed with Alice or something. Like they'd be like, oh, okay, but like every time they cut to him just like usually it's with Simon Strong around, but usually it's like kind of like a normal activity that he should be doing, eating or sitting at a council, and you're like, how the fuck did he have like get pulled into this? Like, was he on autopilot before, or like what is going on?
Yeah, that's the main part I do not like about this. Is I do not like how those dreams bleed into the reality so much. Like I just like keep them separate of like when he's asleep, but like just the unknown like lost amount of time that like is really it's almost impossible to like logic your way around. Like it just doesn't.
They told us he's sleeping in a weirwood bed, so show us him having like crazy weirwood bed nightmares, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is like, dark horror shit. But then he's just like having like waking, like losing time, like he's got, I don't know, dementia or something.
I think the point is that we're supposed to wonder whether Damon, I mean, he's undeniably being fucked with, but Simon and Simon's, Larry, Curly, and Moe idiot sons are so like thoroughly untouched by this that I kind of wonder if it's, if we're supposed to be debating whether or not this is Alice's influence / Harrenhal's influence, or it's Damon's own psyche, because he hasn't actually had to like sit around and think about what he, has done. So I kind of wonder if that's the point. Again, for me, this is very much the dose making the poison. Like I like the waking up in the middle of dinner. Like I find that quite compelling. But yeah, it's enough. We can raise the stop sign. It's fine.
I suspect that the arc that they're going to give him is that he starts out he's a bad man in the first season. He's being broken open and made to face his sins. He's gonna, instead of hanging around with Nettles in the Riverland, he's gonna be with his daughter if Rhaena is truly gonna replace her. I feel like they're like softening him up so that like I guess the audience, we can be more on his side when he takes out Aemon. Like we can have in a more heroic. If I had to guess, that's like what all this is for.
But that really changes the whole reason he even goes to meet Aemon in the first place. So I mean, they can work around that, I guess. I don't know.
I think they're fixing him for Rhaenyra, frankly. I think that's my view.
They get back together. I mean, that's my thought, is that like he's like renewed to the cause or something through all this. But I mean, like I think you said it in the chat, Michal, where he has the dream basically where he's apologizing and being like, oh, I should have been there for you, Viserys, and he's sort of like coming through all this, and we see that, and it's like really powerful. And then like we get a scene where she's like, oh yeah, should have been there for your brother, huh? It's like he went on better help and he got Alice Rivers. I mean, you can change therapists. Like,
you can get $10 back from that lawsuit. Used BetterHelp.
I see.
But also use code VASSALS, VASSS.
and get 1 month free.
Alas, there are many victims.
I also think like they're trying to get him on the supernatural side a little, because that was what his fight with Rhaenyra, well, it was part of their fight last season when he choked her, is her being so much about the prophecy and the duty to the realm, and him being like, it's all bullshit, like you shouldn't believe in it, my brother shouldn't believe in it. And I think like if he's being exposed to the magic in some way, he might be a little more willing to hear her, like Rhaenyra, out about it, or like at least come more on her side. I don't know. I can see like in the writer's room why this seemed like a good idea. I just think in practice, like it's way too protracted. The relationship with Alice just does not make any sense to me. The owl doesn't make sense to me. I can't get over it.
Yeah,
Katie, do you think that the kind of the reason for all that is like him not liking the prophecy shit is mostly just because he was blindsided by it? Because it was more of not being in the know, right? Then he's just like, well, Viserys would have told me if this was important. Like, why the fuck did my brother tell me?
No, it's just a representation of his anger at Viserys, like in action. It's just more of Viserys's nonsense and him being too timid of a rule.
Maybe I thought it was he was upset he wasn't in on the secret sort of thing, and then maybe over time he can kind of come to grips with that. But maybe I was reading it wrong.
Certainly, I think I remember Matt Smith saying that in an interview, that was his motivation at the time. Somebody definitely said that behind the scenes, but I feel like they could play with that in some different ways moving forward. I don't know. It's been a while since I've watched season 1.
And are we like 100% heading towards King's Landing throuple?
I think so. I mean, that's kind of what's implied to be happening in the book too. It's like there's a lot of rumors about what their situation is,
and everyone can have some fun.
That would be nice. Rhaenyra deserves it.
Yeah.
Just one more thing on this that is not important, but like is bugging me. It's one of those slightly worrying things where it's like, is my perception just entirely different from what was intended / done on the show, which is like, I keep thinking back to like the episode where Alice is introduced and they're like, with her costume and her hair and everything, they're like, we really didn't lean into the witch thing. And I'm like, she's so pale, she's almost green. Her hair is straight black to her ankles. This woman could not look more like a witch if she were in Party City at Halloween.
She summons an owl.
Like,
Yeah, no, she's.
I'm looking for a cauldron.
As a pale skin, dark haired girl, I take offense to that.
I mean, I don't think you're also typically surrounded by weird herbs and blood and animal guts as well. In her second scene, like, are there people denying that she's a witch?
Yeah, like
I think it's very obvious that I think that's what they're going for, right? Otherwise, this
I the only other thing that I can think of is that they're trying to go for her being like, she had that one line in the scene by the weirwood tree that we don't know how old people are or things are or something along those lines, and gave me Melisandre vibes. So I don't know if they're going for that kind of vibe instead, but like,
I don't see a ruby around her neck. Hopefully
where's her
glamour?
I mean, she's a kitchen witch, and I appreciate that, but also just like, it's like they're leaning into it, but acting like they're not, which is weird.
Well, they're not letting it be consequential until this episode where she's like, "Oh, now that you have asked me for help, wait 3 days," and then
in 3 days' time, the winds will shift.
But it's interesting that she was just like, you basically told him like you're too prideful to ask for help, sort of thing. And then he's like, I need help, and I'm like, does he think she can help? And then she just is like, go chill for a few days. That's all she does. And it works out. But
it also weirdly feels like this episode that they were trying to make Alice and it's Miss Sandy. Why am I'm combining their Melisandre and her names in my head, and I can't figure out what name is.
You mean Natalie Emmanuel? Like Missandei?
No, Missaria. I'm sorry. I felt like they were kind of trying to make them like two sides of the same coin. Like, this is the person that Damon is using to help him out of this, and Rhaenyra is using...
Like, who's pulling the strings of these two people?
Yes. Like, it kind of feels like that they're trying to, like, make these people, like, the influencers of the two main characters, and that they're kind of one and the same, almost.
Missaria's actually doing stuff.
Yeah, I kind of see that.
I mean, I guess Alice did something finally. Missaria was, throughout every single episode, was actively doing
things. Alice made this man fuck his own mother, okay? Like, come on.
It's not interesting to me.
I'm just saying, she's doing something.
Alice knows that Damon needs some more work on himself.
I still don't know what the point of that is.
I just feel like, on top of everything, her, like, Damon, we're the same. Like, we're both pieces. We're not players. We're whatever. And I'm like, I just don't know where this like, empathy is coming from or why it's needed. Like, to me, it just doesn't, like, humbling Damon on a cosmic level, I guess, has very little appeal to me personally. On a, humbling his own understanding of his station, I guess, makes more sense. But I just, like, the we're old bros, we've been talking in this Godswood for 3 years or whatever vibes, it just wasn't working for me.
Yeah, it was almost like he was coming to her like, all right, I'm coming to you again. It's been a long time. But I do think that he needs to get to the point where he's like, I'm the Dragon Knight type guy. I'm not like the people need to follow me guy. And maybe that's just how they do it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the embracing the prince consort type thing or whatever, king consort.
Yeah, which needs to happen. Would be good for this whole situation. So
yeah, I feel like, I don't know, my opinion on my theories changes like every 5 seconds, but right now I do feel like they're doing the, like, they get back together. Damon becomes like the good one in the relationship as Rhaenyra begins her descent toward madness, and he leaves her because she's going cuckoo.
Oh, because he's trying to follow a more honorable path.
Or like, this is why I made you queen type of thing, because you are the, you're you're no longer the queen my brother thought you would be, or something like that.
Boo.
And that will be $10,000 if those lines are spoken on the show.
That's right.
I do feel for the writers because, like, some of these characters just disappear for huge swaths of the story, and you can't get rid of Damon for a full season. You can't get rid of Aemond for a full season. You have to make something up for them. I just kind of wish that I wish Damon had been allowed to stay on Dragonstone. Like, I feel like it would have made the Blacks much more interesting as a group. I think it would have made the families, because there's so much work you can do within the family. Like, we know almost nothing about Daemon and Jace's relationship. Like Daemon, Massaria, and Rhaenyra in the same household together. Like, there's stuff that could have been done. And I wish they had not done this. And that's a little help.
Yeah, and you could have had Daemon off on some task when Rook's Rest happened too. So then that doesn't get in the way. There were ways around that.
Yeah, that was. I was just thinking that was probably like part of why they had to remove him. They're like, well, if he's there, then Rhaenys is not going to go to Rook's Rest. Like, but you're right.
Right, or they both would have gone or something. Yeah, but I mean, like I said, you could have him off. Like, oh, we need him to go to Harrenhal, or we need him to go talk to the Tullys or something. And he's been gone for days, we can't reach him. And I don't know.
All right. So then we go to Sir Darklyn trying to claim his dragon. I felt like this was super culty. Like, we have a weird chant going on, but also feels very magical at the same time. So we're summoning the dragon. Sea smoke pops up. Because I guess sea smoke I think it's weird that sea smoke's down there. I think it should have been Vermithor or Quicksilver, but Silverwing, Quicksilver, Jesus Christ. Yeah, we thought everything was going good, and then it wasn't, and he is dead, burned alive. And we had another person that was one of the dragon handlers was also seemingly burned alive. Well.
Seemingly? Well, he cut his own throat, I guess, to avoid burning alive.
Yeah, he cut his throat.
It was metal as fuck.
Exactly. Shit ruled. Like, they're all prepared like that. I love it.
Yeah, I was like, that must be the training. Like, hey, if you burn, like, just cut your throat, like, end it quick.
Yeah.
But I do think Sea Smoke being the one he tries to claim is even worse, because they've tried to set up like, oh, Sea Smoke is lonely, and then that's why Sea Smoke like tracks down a rider. But like, you had someone right here, and he was like, nah, fuck this dude.
Stephen Darklyn says, I've done it. Is that his name? Stephen Darklyn?
Yes.
Whatever.
And he didn't even touch him.
Yeah. No, but I mean, look, you have to suspend some disbelief here, like, just even for it being Sea Smoke. Although, to me, I was annoyed at first, and then I was like, actually, that probably does make a little more sense, because they know that, A, Sea Smoke is smaller, and B, he's, so, like, probably a little easier for the dragon handlers to control, theoretically. And also, like, they have some sense, like, he's been flying about, he may want a rider, at least, whereas I feel like Vermithor and Silverwing are just, like, these like monoliths in the depths. Yeah, exactly. God knows what they've been eating. But yeah, I feel like that was probably what we were meant to be like. He's like, no, this asshole, like he's full of himself. No,
Yeah, you think that I'm okay with you.
It didn't come off well enough. He should have been like, aha, the dragon is mine, like I don't know. To me, it should have been like more like, oh shit, no, this dude fucked up.
I did like the culty singing. I thought that was cool. It was like, I guess that makes as much sense as anything for like how you would summon a massive dragon,
Yeah, it's the lullaby that Damon sung last
Yes.
season.
Oh, it's the same.
Sounded a lot less like a lullaby this time around.
Sorry. Who sung it better?
Borrowing that word, yeah.
Gotcha. All right. And then we go back to the shipyard, and Corlys asks Alan to be the first mate on his ship or to lead the ships. And Alan doesn't want to accept it, but he is forced to do it. I thought this was a little weird that he was like, no.
Corlys is trying here, but clearly he's ignored these kids for the most part, and they're still allowed to feel a certain way about that.
Anybody else before I move on?
We'll say that Adam is just distractingly hot in every scene that he's in.
I know, he's so goddamn attractive.
I feel bad because it's like
resist.
Exactly. Like, I mean, yeah, if you were Sea Smoke, you definitely choose him over the other fucker.
Yeah, but my namesake should have climbed on top of that dragon.
He was gonna swipe right. But then he was like, oh, wait, there was another guy I swiped right on. Never mind.
He's like, yeah, no, I saw this other dude when I was flying over, so. Oh, man.
I really like Alan, actually. I feel like he's not much of a character in the book, but like I find the older of a pair of illegitimate sons who like clearly has gone through some stuff and like has to keep working for their father on the down low. Like, I don't know, there's a ton of dignity to him that I find really compelling.
Yeah, no, I'm biased towards the actor. Stuff I've seen him before, plus his video game ties. So yeah, I'm just waiting
video
for
games.
what? Oh, he just made one. I'm blanking on its name now, but it's a Metroidvania recently.
He was in Assassin's Creed.
Huh.
Yeah, but yeah, he was Bayek in Assassin's Creed Origins. But yeah, he also just like made a game kind of about exploring the death of his father. He's an interesting guy.
I had no idea. That's interesting. Yeah. And I do feel like so far Alan has been the more interesting character. I'll begrudgingly admit that. And the scene where he's like shaving his very white head was really cool. And that apparently that was like really complicated to actually film that.
Would imagine so.
But they had to like come up with the whole thing. But it was very well done. The fact that he has to do this every day to kind of hide any indication of who he is, like, I don't know, that's like a big kind of character building moment. It's something so simple as just shaving.
Yeah, he's always had to hide. All right, and then we go back to King's Landing with the Smallfolk. We're in that pub, I guess, and with Ulf, and it's gossip hour, and we're talking about how terrible the Greens are, but how great Rhaenyra could be. Was that
small folk be small spoken? Yeah.
So the woman in prostitute that Eamon was seeing the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, it was his prostitute mommy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thrown off by that because at first I thought it wasn't her, but then Greg was like, no, that's definitely her, and I was like, oh.
Yeah. The barmaid who in the castle off.
I forget now. I think it was mentioned in the episode, but the servant, the handmaiden or whatever that Rhaenyra sends to King's Landing was talking to the barmaid, and what exactly was it she was trying to get information on? Like that the people were unhappy, or that the people were maybe open to Rhaenyra, or was that all that was? They said something about it in the episode. I don't remember now.
Well, no, she's basically delivering, Myssaria's instructions to like other, agents or people that Mysaria knows would be sympathetic within the city, and their goal is to sparking the riot that happens later.
Right.
The gate's still closed.
The gates are closed. That's part of it.
But how come we have people on the beach later and we have spies coming in and out?
Because there would have been people on the outside when the gates were closed. Like,
yeah.
Well, no, but like the ships come and there's food, and then we see later on that like, oh, all the food people in King's Landing are fighting over the food because it's been brought in the King's Landing, but the gates are still closed.
Well, at the very least, you can chuck things over walls, but
I don't know.
Yeah, but I also imagine Mysaria might have some knowledge of the tunnels.
There's one scene last episode in which Mysaria basically shows that she has several of these guards on her.
Yeah, in the episode where the handmaiden gets into King's Landing, she basically stops one of the gold cloaks, and when she says Myssaria's name, and he lets her in.
Yeah, which is important to show because the gold cloaks, remember from all the way back in first episode, those were Daemon's.
Like, yeah.
First episode of this season, Daemon went and just found one of them to be blood and cheese.
Right. Yeah, and I feel like I kind of assumed that like the unless you have a boat who's gonna like swim out to sea, like I always felt like that was just part of the castle, but maybe I'm wrong.
Well, there's the blockade also, right? So that's gonna stop people by sea.
If you can get down to the beach, you can go to the next town over or whatever, right? You're like no longer trapped.
I don't know what their security apparatus is.
I'm just thinking about like the maps of King's Landing, or just looking at it from the show. But yeah, I mean, a bunch of food shows up and people are hungry. I'm sure the guards will,
the average show watcher isn't going to see that as a discontinuity.
No, I don't necessarily. It's something that's easily explained. I just find it funny. There's a lot of in and out for a city that's closed off.
Well, I mean, Linda or whatever her name is, like, she only walked up and said, like, "Hi, I'm here to spy." Like, I was like, "Oh yeah, the spy is this way."
100%. She's like, I have the crime hoodie. Like, trademark Damon.
All right, let's move on to Rhaenyra. We're in the hallway with her, and I believe is it Celtigar? Is that right? Did I get it right?
Oh, I don't know any of their names, nor do I care.
But they have a little bit of a disagreement after Sir Darkland is burned alive, and she just slaps the fuck out of him, and that was great.
That guy's name is actually Bartomos Celtigar or something like that.
Oh, I just pronounced the C wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I've heard Celtigar, I don't know.
I could be also.
I mean, people will feel very strongly about that, so it probably is Celtigar.
I'm sure in Boston they will.
That's what I was thinking of, really.
I really liked this. I loved seeing Rhaenyra slap that guy, but I will admit, when she was like, "It's my fault that I think that you've forgotten to fear me," or whatever, I'm like, and? So? Like, what are you going to do about it? You know? Like, oh, you're just going to walk off really annoyed? Okay.
Punishments.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's coming. Like, that is a big reason why I've liked these last two episodes more. I heard a comment, like, recently, someone saying that, you know, they that I agree with, where, you know, I want to see more of the fire that Millie brought to Rhaenyra, like, you know, come out, pretty much. And, you know, Emma's certainly capable of it. It's just they've obviously been purposely holding her back, and we're finally starting to see it now, and is all I want.
Yeah, I think it's hard. We only have 2 episodes left. It feels like if we get all the dragon seeds and we get the gullet and we take King's Landing, can we do it all? Can we pull it all off before the season ends? Because it feels like that's the natural progression. Is that this whole season is about her kind of shedding her reluctance and deciding to take the mantle of the warrior queen upon herself and reclaim the city. And I think, like, if Jace dies, that also, like, would be the final straw to get her to that place. It just seems like a lot to get through in 2 episodes, and I would like it to end with them taking King's Landing, because I don't want this season to end with them stuck on Dragonstone still, with Rhaenyra crying because another one of her kids has died. Like, that just feels like repetitive. Like, we're kind of like stuck in the same place as we began the season at.
I would not be surprised if they switch those scenes, because we have Rhaena potentially getting a dragon, and they might hold off on her leaving. So it might just work out that they don't leave for Pentos yet.
I guess, yeah, I was thinking she, like, maybe stays behind while they go off. But yeah, I'm not sure. Well, because, yeah, I always assumed they were, you know, up until this point, that they were pushing the gullet. And maybe changing the order of things. Yeah. Now that they've brought in the gay abandon, yeah, I honestly don't know, and I do, you know, I do agree with Katie that they might not get enough at the end of this season.
It would be a shame, because it's like, if they had 10 episodes, that feels like the natural point.
Right, that's always what I assumed that they should have done, until the episode count got reduced, and so then it's just kind of like, well, now I don't know.
It makes me anxious, because it's like the wait between seasons is so damn long. And yeah, I definitely think that Rhaena is gonna stay behind, get her dragon, and then have some degree of guilt, because little kids are taken, she's not going to be there, and that'll feed into her motivations later, because it's her and Alan really that help get little Viserys back from Pentos, like, way later at the end. But, like, I could see the threads, like, being stitched for that, like, the long game.
We also have a quick little scene here with Rhaenyra thinking about learning how to fight with what I believe is Dark Sister, and Mysaria also having a little chat with her. Part of me is a little bothered with I don't know. I always assumed that, like, Rhaenyra learned how to fight somewhat because she was a dragon rider, but maybe I just, like, I feel a little put off by her not knowing how to defend herself, like, at least a little bit.
I mean, the propaganda from the stories basically say, like, she refused to fight, she wouldn't go out with Cyrax. Like, it gives no indication that she was, like, a warrior in any way, though I'm sure she could have fought on Dragonback. But I do think it makes some sense to have her not really know kind of martial tactics and laws and all that, just because then it puts her at a disadvantage with the council. Maybe gives them a more to bicker about until she puts them in their place.
I mean, yeah, the wartime orders and tactics for sure. I mean, frankly, no one knows about that in this story, just because there hasn't been any.
That's
But
cool.
yeah, but yeah, it does kind of feel, it may be more just how Millie played it, where it
Right.
it would make sense that she would have at least had some basic training as a kid like that. I would
like a bow at least or something.
Yeah, I would have accepted.
Like she was literally like covered in blood from fighting that, I think it was a pig in
the boar.
The boar. And like I get that she had Kristen kill or not kill the stag. She didn't kill the stag, but she was covered in blood. And like she felt like it felt like, she was with Cyrax, with the scene with her and Damon, it just felt like she was just more like becoming of the role, and then maybe it's just becoming a mother. She took more of a feminine role, but I don't know.
Did Rhaenys wear a sword in the show at any point?
No,
like she had the armor.
So. She had her. Did she have a whip?
I think
she has a whip in the book.
She's supposed to have a whip, but I don't remember seeing one. But I'm like, I don't remember seeing a blade on her. Like I don't recall seeing any of the female dragon riders with weapons. I mean, you have a dragon, so.
Jace's comment about Visenya in the previous episode makes it seem like Visenya was the outlier. And yeah, I mean, if you're fighting on Dragonback, you're like, unless you're like Daemon and you're crazy and you're gonna go jump through the air.
You don't need a sword. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the only one stupid enough to get off.
I also feel like Rhaenyra, I don't know, I'm making this up. This is fan fiction, but I feel like she may have learned how to like defend herself with a dagger, but that like being different than fighting with a sword,
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Also, a bow is like not really helpful for self-defense. So
no, we have a quick scene over in King's Landing, basically showing the lack of food and people going after the sheep that are clearly for the dragons. Greg told me to say, "Why can't we have some meats?" And I don't really know what that reference, but he said it would be funny. It is not funny.
Is that a Lord of the Rings?
Where's the beef?
I have no idea.
No, see, Lord of the Rings would have been, looks like sheep's back on the menu, boys.
Is it the Kevin Costner Robin Hood movie? Like, we ain't got nothing to eat.
He's not even home, so I can't ask him.
Yeah. The next time, like, if Jace ever runs into, like, Aemon again, like, why a spoon, cousin?
$1.
It'll hurt more, you twit. It's such a great scene. As a kid, too, I watched that movie over and over again, and it took me a while to understand what was going on in that scene.
Everyone our age had it on VHS. We were all indoctrinated.
Yes, it's like one of like a dozen VHSs I own.
All right, and then we go back to King's Landing, small council with Aemond. They're talking about the small folk. It seems like not all of them are there. It's mostly Larys and because he kicked out Alicent. Kristen's preparing to fight, and the Maester's with the king. But talks to Larys about that. Larys is pretty concerned. He makes a point in the actor makes a point in the after the episode that like he's smart for realizing what is happening before everybody else does. He also mentions the thing about the hand, and Larys almost thinks it's going to be him, but then Aemond wants him to go find Otto Hightower and bring him back here. The Maester comes in and says that the king is awakening, and Aemond looks pissed.
Larys getting shut down extremely.
So good.
I did not know I needed that.
Yeah.
He was so ready. He's like, oh, I never considered it for myself.
Oh, I would never take this honor, sir. Yeah, shut up.
Aemond called him a toad.
Yeah, he called him a toad.
That's one of those like secondhand embarrassment moments.
With Alicent now, huh?
Oh my god.
He's truly a weather vane. Like, he was prepared to go all in with Eamon, and he's like, well, he called me a toad, so I guess I'm going to go support his brother now. That's all it took.
This is why Larry's is like one of the most fun characters in the dance, because you're like, no one really knows what he was up to. I'm like, I don't know if Larry's knows what he's up to sometimes.
One episode, he seemed to have a pretty strong relationship with his brother. The next, he's burning him alive.
Next, he's like, well, I'll burn him too. All for the feet.
Oh my goodness. I did like, I don't know, I feel like, it's hard to decide, but I feel like he's maybe like, oh, okay, I thought maybe the kid having power would be good. Turns out it's better to have the puppet. That was sort of my thought. But
yeah, he thought we could be bros, and I'm already established. I am not as established as I thought.
Or even like, he'll just kill me anyway. You know, it's almost like, you know, if you get on his good side, it's not going to help, you know?
Last episode where he's like, you don't even have a castle anymore. He's like, you lost your shit.
But you know what? Okay, this is actually something I hadn't thought of. Aemond is technically a disabled person, right? But he has no fellow feeling, not that, I mean, he has to or whatever, but like, given the conversation that Larys has with Aegon, it's kind of an interesting parallel that Aemond is so dismissive of him. Yeah.
Well, look,
I'm not saying like, oh, all disabled people should be friends. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, the eye patch gets all the ladies, you know, so.
Yeah, it's degrees of disability, I guess. Like, Aemon seems adapted pretty well to it, whereas Aegon is probably like in for like a lifetime of pain management and like very visible, not sexy disability. Like, no sexy eye patches for him.
Yeah, just don't ask Aemon to like throw anything at distance.
Yeah, like Larys, this made sense to me because Larys is the instrument through which Aegon survives when Rhaenyra takes King's Landing. So I'm like, okay, what would these two characters talk about? And like the fact that they're othered now by their bodies, like that makes sense. It did seem like he was kind of twisting the knife a little, where he's like, people will stare, throw shit at you, they'll call you names. It's like, okay, I get that this, like he's establishing a connection, you know, based on his trauma. But
we will be sideshow freaks together.
Aegon is like trying not to cry. I shouldn't laugh. It's a very serious scene. It's very sad.
My boy Aegon was on the road to being a good king, y'all. Okay.
Oh my god!
What they did to my boy. I do think it's weird to me that I may be reading this wrong, but it seems that like Aemon was entirely relying on like, oh yeah, he'll never wake up. Cool. And they're like, oh shit, he's awake.
Yeah, he is so mad that he's awake. Like yeah,
it was pretty funny. It was like
the first thing he said was,
"The minister's job, buddy." Like,
what if he was like, get the Kingsguard and kill my brother? Like, you know, I don't know. If Aemon thought he might wake up, you know, he maybe should have done something, but he just, I don't know. It's kind of comical to me. Aemon's like, I'm the boss now. Oh shit, he's awake.
Aegon, the actor, immediate fear when he wakes up and tries to like kind of crawl away, like he's gripping the sheets and like visibly like, oh no, like don't leave me alone with him. I don't remember anything, I swear. Like very good.
Yeah, he sold it really well in that scene. The fear and like the lie that was obviously a lie. Yeah.
Like when it just the whole scene with Aemon going to see Aegon, it just made me hate Aemon more. Like him putting his hand into the wound, making it worse. It's just it was cringy in the worst way. Like made me just feel icky.
What is the significance of him leaving the ball with the hymn, the count, like the marble totem?
I don't know.
I was confused about that too. I at first thought it was like part of his skin, like a boil that he was like popping or something, and then I realized it was the ball, and I was like, that's weird.
I guess it's like because the king has one of those, right? Like when he's sitting at the table.
Yeah, that's the one Aemon takes, and he's like, I finally get a ball, and it's the king's ball.
Oh, was that maybe Aemon's like, you know, brother of the king ball? Or like the problem is,
no, he didn't have one.
He didn't have one when he was at the council?
No, I don't think so, because he was not supposed to be there, which was why Alicent kept being like, why is he here?
I thought everyone at the table was supposed to have them, but again, it's this weird thing where like, all right, grab your balls and put them in the chair, and you're like, well, when my butt's in the chair, you'll know I'm there. I do wish that there was like, oh, this is the king's ball, this is the hand's ball. Like, I do wish there was maybe more of like an obvious significance to it, but
this is a show invention that I just don't understand.
I mean, they used it to kill my boy Beesbury, so I'm already pissed off. But
that was so stupid. I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah, just slit his throat, man. But I just want to know, like, what's the one he gave? Is that Master of Whispers? Is that Master of Corn? Like, is it mean something, or is he just handing him a stone?
Now that I'm thinking about it a little bit, I wonder if it was his mother's, and maybe it's like,
you're
in the same level as her now.
Or is it his, like the king's, and he's like, this is as much king as you're going to be. Like,
and he's like, yeah, you hold on to this, but I don't need it anymore.
Yeah, because this is also like kind of childish from Aemond, like it's a surprisingly blunt move from him.
It is like he leaned over and whispered, "These nuts." I'm sorry.
I don't know about that, but
he said it's childish.
Oh my god. Yeah.
But like it was kind of that, I don't know, like I feel like, forget that, Aegon is incapacitated, it was sort of that like bigger kid in the schoolyard, like, and the way the smaller bullied kid tries to get away is like make themselves as small as possible and like deny everything. And, those were kind of the vibes to me. This wasn't an episode that sort of suggested that Aemond is as mature as he thinks he is, I think.
Yeah, it's almost like a game.
Yeah, I mean, those are the tactics he's resorting to, right? He's resorting to, like, almost Aegon-like tactics, It's not the same thing as finding your brother naked with a prostitute and teasing him in front of everyone. But, like, it's kind of, it has a similar vibe of the, like, helplessness, and being the one in control. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to Rhaena in the Eyrie. We're having her walk through some hills with Joffrey, and Joffrey says, "I want mother," because he's a sad boy. And then all of a sudden we see a bunch of burnt sheep or animals and burnt land, and which is ominous. And it looks like maybe a dragon has been here. Then we cut to her back at the Eyrie. She says to Lady Jane, Aaron, that she has misled her, and she was like, "Oh yeah, there's been a dragon here." And she mentions that the ships are going to be going to Pentos soon. So this is pretty much confirmation we will not be getting Nettles, which, I think that it makes, like, for Rhaena, I love it for Rhaena. From a book to show perspective, I hate it, because we're taking the one character of color for sure from this whole story and cutting her out for another person, which feels wrong, but also, they changed the presumed skin tone of the Velaryons, which is good for, inclusion in that perspective. It feels slightly off to me that they're doing that, but for Rhaena's character, I love it for her. I think that it works. I'm maybe hoping that maybe there's a slim chance that they do mention that there's another rogue dragon in the books called the Cannibal. Maybe we'll have another random girl named Nettles claim that. But at this point, it looks like Sheepstealer is going to be going to Rhaena.
I understand why he did this. Like,
yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, the alternative is that Rhaena just disappears, like, for several seasons, because there's not anything for her to do. So I can, like, they have this actress. I can see them being like, well, we don't want to not have her around, like, especially if they like her performance. So, like, let's consolidate and keep her around. And yeah, I mean, it changes Daemon's story, but it doesn't necessarily mean it'll change it for the worse. Like, I don't know. I'm increasingly okay with it. Like, it sucks that we're not going to get Nettles, but I really like the actress who plays Rhaena. I like her, like, when she's in the bedroom with the two kids, she's playing with a dragon toy, or she's just holding a dragon toy. It feels like a good transition where she's like, man, I'm stuck in the nursery. There's nothing for me to do. It gives her good impetus to, like, want to take charge of her own life and, like, be a woman and go get her own dragon. It's good staging.
Yeah. I'm not saying that this doesn't work from like the show perspective. Like, I think that it works, and I think that it, we do have so many minor characters at this point that it's kind of getting a bit confusing. So I get why they are doing it from that kind of a level.
So the negative connotation for me mainly is that you're cutting a. So the thing about Nettles, sheep stealers, is that Nettles is just nobody. There's some suggestion that she may be Daemon's bastard in the books, right? But the very most likely thing is that she's just a random girl, claims the dragon which means that all the Targaryen stuff about blood and bloodlines and you can only be this to ride dragons all bullshit.
Right.
So that's out of the window, because now she's replaced literally by a character named Rhaena Targaryen.
Right, but they are like with the preview for next week, they are kind of discussing some of that in terms with what Adam's.
Maybe. That's it. Well, that's still different, right? Adam is a bastard of Hortus Valerian. Valerian? Okay, yeah. No, they must have Targaryen at this point. She's not related to Rhaenys, but there's some Targaryen blood. Some you go back some many generations ago. There has to be. Right. And at the end of the day, there's still noble-born Valerian houses coming over. It's just, it would have been a story of literally just a random girl out of nowhere claiming a dragon.
Right.
But, so that's gone. Just fun. Okay.
Yeah, which sucks.
That's it. Going back to my original point, this show has too many characters. What does Nettles actually do in
but it gives them a character to expand and make into like a season 3. It gives them a character to like play Daemon and Rhaenyra off each other. Like,
there's too many characters.
It's not that many. I mean, like, they're going to be killing a bunch of people off soon.
Well, I mean, the problem is how many bloodlines like this. There's randomly. It's symbolically very cool in the books, but functionally there is nothing. There's basically nothing.
But I mean, a lot of these are outline characters that don't get like lines in the story so much, and like look how much they've expanded them. I mean,
I would argue
it's like Alice Rivers shit. Like, would you rather Daemon hang out with her or Nettles?
I don't know. Depending on what they come up with Nettles, I don't know.
If we look at it, I mean, we could tell ourselves that maybe this is a blessing in disguise. Like, we're in our heads, we're like, man, they cut this amazing character who would have been so cool to see. But it could have just been like a sand snake situation where, like, the choices they made.
No, I think that's it. Nettles is
they could have really fucked the character up. Yeah. But I just think, like you said, I think the significance of having this random person who is not connected, who doesn't have a lineage that we know of, just kind of through cleverness, and is like the only like person of color in the story to begin with. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's just kind of a weird thing to cut.
I think again, what they're thinking, I think it's just like what Matt said or what Katie said. We have this character, the actress for Rhaena. Rhaena functionally does nothing in the books, right?
I just figured she'd be gone. I mean,
maybe, but I guess they just instead, okay, well, we want to do more with this character. She has no plot line.
I have no faith that they're going to do much with her. I mean, she's going to the boat soon. It's like a quick ride down to the boats, and she has to like somehow, bring sheep, claim a dragon like over time. I don't know.
Apparently, I think it's just going to be she basically.
I bet this dragon will just choose her, just like Sea Smoke.
Well, maybe
want to ride.
That would suck.
Maybe she's wearing a sheepskin coat.
I hope she does her for a sheep. I hope she just does literally what the book does, just keep feeding the dragon sheeps, and eventually the dragon likes her, which at least...
But there's no time for that. Like,
I don't think... Sorry, Katie.
No, I was just going to say, like, we don't know how the runtime of these last 2 episodes. The episodes have been very long, I guess, compared to last season, or even, like, Game of Thrones episodes. I feel like you can accomplish more than you think. Like, I was just lamenting earlier about how it sucks that we have 2 episodes left, but I'm like, well, I feel like yes, we have fewer episode count, but it also feels like we've had more runtime this season than last season. I mean, maybe that's not actually true, but it's what it feels like.
This one was longer, and I think the last 2 are rumored to be like 70 minutes or longer each.
They announced the runtimes.
Yeah, I think the problem is there's a lot more exciting things happening. They're stretching a story that's only really at most have 2.5 seasons. of TV plotline.
And
2 full
I guess
seasons.
part of the problem is that we've stalled, like in Damon and Harrenhal. We've spent several episodes this year where we're kind of like nothing's happening in certain areas, and then we're like rushing, like, oh look, Seasmoke just finds a writer, and you're like, wow, we couldn't have given that more time.
I don't know what more time can you give them more either. I don't know. None of these are like the stuff that's really plotline moving stuff in the books is a bunch of random battles, right? Like the dragon claiming stuff is not that much. It's like
No, it's like one line, but like that how often do you see like a paragraph in a book become 20 minutes in a movie? I mean,
Maybe.
you could make it work. I mean, Aemon claiming Vagar was exhilarating.
A little bit different. I don't know. I don't know. I found the dragon chasing down Adam to make him his rider pretty fun. So I don't know. I don't have anything too much against that.
I feared for my boy's life.
I mean, that's good. That's good. I enjoy that. Look, fundamentally, yeah. There's very little. They have to invent stuff. They have been inventing stuff. Some of them positively, some of them not so positively. And
I mean, they've been mostly faithful to the book, and they've done a good job increasing characterization.
Yeah, I think the problem is they're too faithful to the book at some points, in which they just don't want.
In some points, yeah, it would make more sense to just move some stuff around. Like I think will happen with the gullet. I would hope.
I heard those stuff that happened. I think I'm just not so much vociferously against the Netto thing because I know this was happening 2 years ago already. There were rumors a long time, and I just.
Well, there were leaks. There's always been leaks, but then like you go back and you look, and sometimes those leaks are not particularly accurate.
This is one of the most consistently, just constantly coming out. Just psychologically, I was already. So again, there are things I agree with you, Adam, on some things that I don't like about in terms of implication of doing this change, but we'll see.
I'm of two minds. Part of me thinks that they could, kind of pull off these last 2 episodes, kind of like 2 episode 9s in a row of Game of Thrones, where like you're like, oh shit, this happened, and I kind of worry that we're gonna get like I think it was season 6 of Game of Thrones where like the battle that one battle with Stannis with his whole army perishing like happened way too quickly.
That's 5.
It's 5.
Yeah, 6 was Battle of the Bastards, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was.
Yeah. No, you're right. It was like Stannis. We're like, oh, let's send 20 good men, right? That's what that was.
Yeah. I feel like they could do something like that, but they could also just. I feel like this one is one of those things where it could wait until the next season. I wouldn't be surprised if they just like are setting it up at this point for her, and it might not have it might be one of the cliffhangers of this season, but we'll see.
I would like some cliffhangers. I would like some things that are like brought to the finale of like, ooh, what's going to happen there? They have 2.5 hours. Maybe you could put together a movie. Like you're right, you can get a lot done. I don't think if they're wanting 4 seasons, like I don't think you need to move as fast on some stuff. But I don't know.
See, all right. So we have a little conversation next with Rhaenyra on Dragonstone with Jace. Jace says that we really need Daemon. And then Miss Arya interrupts, saying that their gift has been sent. And Jace looks like he's been fucking blindsided and leave. I did see a meme online that was like Jace trying to be like, oh my god, we have another mom now. I already have 3 dads. Stop.
This guy. I don't have very much patience for Jace. I get it. I understand. But, like, your mommy doesn't need to tell you everything. She's running a war,
Yeah, I feel like he's, it's just more of him with the gender essentialism, I guess.
Yes, I mean, I don't know fully if the show was meaning for it to be that literal or not, even though that's what Rhaenyra says later. Because my initial interpretation of that is he means militarily, like they need his dragon back now. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously he was upset with not being in on stuff. So
I think it's I think there's nobody that knows more than Rhaenyra how they need Daemon just from like a strategic point of view as to having enough dragons to fight. But I think that it seems like a lot of the men are like, why can't you just make up with him? when it's not really.
Right, yeah, for sure. But I thought, I don't know. I think Jace is better than that, and this seemed a little off to me. But whatever.
I wonder if partly it's tied into him being a little petulant that his idea didn't work about the
Interesting.
dragons.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, I mean, there's more. Like,
there's more people.
Plenty more where that came from.
Right? Yeah.
Tried this on one person, guys. Let's not give up so easily.
Barbecue.
Yeah, I will say this. Yeah, this was the part where I thought was like expecting for Masari to like fucking say something. Like she's definitely had the thought of bastards go across her mind. Like say something, goddammit.
I feel like Missaria almost doesn't want to look like any of the ideas are coming from her.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like I feel like most of what she's done has been respond.
Yeah, and always in private.
Yeah.
That's fair.
All right, and then we move to the boats arriving to King's Landing. It looks like it's only one boat, but then it ends up being a bunch of boats.
There's a scene like this from some movie that I'm just like it's on like the tip of my mind. I cannot fucking think.
I think Greg compared it to something too, and I don't know what it was.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there was like a Pirates of the Caribbean scene like this, but I'm just blanking as to what this reminds me of.
I'm just imagining Greg listening to this, screaming at the podcast, "You idiots! You should know these movies."
Maybe it's Troy. I don't know.
Yeah, well, maybe you should get his ass on one of these, and then we.
I know, right?
I will say the music that they played during this, Ramin Djawadi almost never misses, but for me it felt a little too like, I feel like we've only heard that music at the end of episodes. I could be completely wrong, but it felt like a things have changed, when it's like, I mean, I guess technically yes they have and will, but I don't know. It felt like a bigger revelation than
I did think that this was the end of the episode, and then I was like, oh, we're not done yet.
Not even close. We still have a whole incredibly stupid riot to go.
Yeah. All right, so we get back to... Oh, Matt, did you want to say something?
No, I'd just say we should just, like, blitz through.
Yeah.
Like, there are two more really good scenes, like, that we should just get to.
Yeah. All right, so this next scene is with Alicent. Alicent, she's with Aegon for a minute. The Maester comes in. She's asking about Sir Otto. No word. Alicent decides to go down to the horses. It looks like she's probably going to say goodbye to Christian, but ends up talking to Gwaine about their childhoods and growing up and how her son Daron is doing, who we have still not met yet. But they have a good brother-sister conversation here. It's very forced by Alicent, but it makes sense and ends with a nod to Christian as he goes.
I really like this scene.
Yeah, this is one of the scenes I was referencing. Yeah, this was fantastic.
So if they do with all the other random characters like they did with Sir Gwaine, that would be great. Because the books, Gwaine is a nothing character, like the numerous random knights throughout this entire book. But in this show, you see an arc with Sir Gwaine. It's a complicated dude. Initially, he's this pompous asshole coming over, just looking down at everything, everybody. And then you see how the war affected him. The actor does a very good job showing PTSD, right? And the way he talks to Alicent, you can see there's a lot of resentment of the fact that nobody cared about his dad, never cared that much about him because he's not as useful as Alicent as a political tool. But they're still trying to also still loves Alicent and trying to comfort her in some way. The way he talks about Darren is also very interesting. I think the actors.
Well, yeah. Freddie Fox is incredibly talented.
Yeah, so they cast and wrote a perfect character for someone that is so little.
They're very believable as siblings that have an enormous amount of distance between them. Probably grew up in different parts of the continent. Maybe like had a shared childhood, but not a shared adolescence. Or adulthood. And yeah, like he is genuinely like troubled. Troubled is not the word, but haunted by the fact that he is going back out there. I mean, he's going to do it. He doesn't really have a choice, but he's like, there's something broken in him, and he's not pleased about like the duty that has been placed on his shoulder.
Right.
Yeah, the line that, like, he's kind, that hit me. That got me.
Definitely.
She takes a breath at that point where it's like, oh, like I did, one of them is okay, you know?
I mean, she's gonna put all her faith in the son that she hasn't seen in forever to be that her second chance of motherhood, I guess, since she's now realizing her mistakes. So it's, all not really her fault in a lot of ways.
She's so interestingly cognizant of that, though, because she's outright like, oh, the one I didn't raise is the nice guy, and there's like the attempted comfort of like, I'm sure you did your best, is like at the same time so insufficient and yet like so meaningful.
She and Cole do not speak to each other this time.
I was very sad.
It makes me think that they're not going to see each other again. This might be it.
Yeah, no, that's what I was expecting. That's what I am expecting.
See, my silliness thought that they were actually going to have like oh wait, we're both mad at Aemond. We're both being mistreated, like almost like a loving goodbye, and then that would be like the nope, but it's so almost, I can't tell which one is worse if it's like she doesn't even go over to him, because I don't know, I'm fully convinced he's like head over heels in love with her, and like I think she's getting there, not quite there, she's too smart for that, but like, oh, this is very sad, and I really love that they've made this like intense and sad,
I mean, again, like, he could come back because like travel time, what does it even mean on the show? Like, people come and go despite distance. But if they follow the book, like he and Aemond basically both stay in the field until they both die. Go either way. Like, it depends on, well, now that I think about it, I guess he can't come back, because if Rhaenyra comes and takes King's Landing, he can't return to the city.
No, it's fine. He can sneak into the city as
put on his little hat.
Oh, I was thinking the Septa's outfit.
Yeah, I mean, sure, there are ways that he could get back on this, but I could just as easily see him being offed next season. Like,
yeah. Although there is a shot in the trailer of Alicent apparently not in King's Landing in the next episode.
That's the one we've been waiting to see if it's like a dream sequence or not.
Yeah. I feel like before the season, everyone was like, ooh, dream sequence. Now everyone's like, oh god, not a dream sequence.
True.
So maybe I will get my sad romantic goodbye. Who knows? I feel like a bad person every time I talk about how much I care about this.
They had chemistry, and like their relationship is complicated. I feel like I've said this every week, but it's like the Greens are just so much more interesting because they're just such a mess.
Yeah.
None of these people are like good with a capital G, but they're I don't know, they're just dynamic and entertaining, and yeah, it's two repressed individuals who made Rhaenyra's life a living hell for enjoying the things that they told each other that they told themselves they couldn't enjoy, and then they got it, and now they ruined it, and it's probably over. Like, that's compelling.
They're also just such a good example of generational trauma.
Yes, they do things.
All right, so this next sequence is the Smallfolk basically getting their hands on the food. In the meantime, Alicent and Helena decide to go to the sept to pray for their loved ones. Helena notices that one of her, I assume crickets, isn't singing. They go to the sept. All of a sudden, one of the King's Guard comes in and is like, we gotta leave. And they end up running for their lives to their cart. Alicent gets in the middle. Somebody grabs her, and that one King's Guard slices off that guy's hand, which is one of the coolest scenes of this episode. Tells all the King's Guard to sheathe their swords, which results in them, a lot of them, or at least one of them, getting killed. Alicent also gets a fish thrown at her face. And once they get into the I forget what they're called, but the cart thing, we notice that Alicent's arm is cut in the same spot that Rhaenyra was cut when she sliced her arm with the notorious dagger.
I guess, yeah, I almost thought it was like she like tore open the wound or something, although yeah, that doesn't make sense, probably.
Well, that would have been dark.
No, I just mean like in the scuffle. It's like she like reopened the old, like it just kind of it just kind of like came apart rather than someone actually doing it, or maybe it was just like maybe that's just how the fish guts landed and it wasn't actually it was just drawing her attention to the scar.
Right.
It's kind
Isn't that Rhaenyra's scar, not Allison?
Yeah, Allison cuts Rhaenyra with the dagger.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah. Maybe just ignore me.
Yeah, I've gotten a bajillion things wrong today. It's fine.
Okay, round one of the problems with this. Why do they leave the sept?
Yeah, well, see, like, no, I knew, like, I could see all this coming, and it's just, like, so obvious, like, oh, god damn it, like, what, I mean, you're gonna put them in danger again just because you need someone who's not, random small folk to be a part of this riot. No, I agree, it was all dumb and it's annoyingly necessary, but, like, there wasn't any too, overly like bad consequences of it all. So I was like, all right, whatever. I'll just give it a pass.
I think the idea.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I think that I'm just going to quickly say why they're out of set. I think they're just trying to show that the Kingsguard that Aegon appointed were his personal lackeys are incompetent.
I honestly couldn't even tell if those were the same guys. I wasn't really paying.
They didn't look like Kingsguard. They looked like City Guard.
No, there were at least like 3 Kingsguard there.
Oh my god, are we having like Kingsguard? I don't know.
There's more than 7 now. There's just too many.
It's like at the end of Game of Thrones, where it was just like simultaneously none and like any.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the dude that got killed was one of his like frat bros. But at least one of them there was.
It's, to me, this scene is, it's like the difference between action and tension. There are things happening, but there's no tension. And obviously, like, we have some degree of, like, reader clairvoyance. We're like, well, nothing is going to happen to Helena and Alicent. So, like, we can be cynical about it. We're like, well, like, of course, like, nobody's going to get hurt, so who cares? Like, I guess the one meaningful piece of table setting is, I guess, like, the guy who loses his hand, like, that's a dude who shows up at the Dragon Pit later? Like, I going crazy? Like, yeah, like, no, he's the Mad Shepherd
or something?
Yeah, that's right. Like, he's a big deal. I forgot about that. Yeah, he's the guy who like organizes the rioters to go to the Dragon Pit. But that's so far in the future that it really doesn't have any bearing on this scene. It's just stuff happening because stuff is happening.
I think the existence of this thing theoretically I like, but the execution or direction was just off.
Yeah, the direction felt very strange. There were like big swaths of like empty set and then like chunks of crowd, and like it was, I don't know, it just didn't feel well done to me. And I actually was worried for Helena because I was like, well, maybe this is how they kill off Helena, and like Alicent either leaves her or whatever, but because nothing happened with that, and you have that like ominous beat at the beginning, at the like the prelude to the scene where Alicent's like, let's go light a candle, and Helena's like, my cricket stopped singing, and she like looks, she looks like premonition orally or whatever into the cage, and I was like, okay, I guess something's gonna happen that I'm not expecting, but then nothing happened unless we come back and Helena is like dead on the floor of the carriage or something,
So yeah, I didn't expect Helena to die there. I was just worried about some other further trauma that she just doesn't fucking need.
I really liked this scene because, like, I like, I can understand the optics of it being, like, it could be set up weird. Like, I'm gonna have to go back and look again. But to my eye, like, of course they're gonna be, they've turned on them. It shows, like, how this is so different from when they went through the funeral procession and they were feeling bad. I know Helena was a bit uncomfortable, but Alicent, like, they weren't harmful towards them, the small folk. But then now with the food and the gossip, it's all just turned on them. And I did think that they might be foreshadowing Helena's death with her against those spiky things at that one point during this.
Yeah, and I will say one thing I've kind of solidified on over these last 2 episodes is that I'm annoyed at what they've done with Helena, where it's just like, bringing her more to the fore, but then like not actually doing anything with it. And it bugs me because like I was excited for the change of like bringing her more to the fore, and then they're just like, no soup for you. Fuck off. Like, God damn it. I just want to see a dreamer.
I know, like, I feel like her scenes are just always facilitating, like, somebody else's.
Yeah.
And, like, except minus the first episode, I think. It just seems like I want to know, like, she's probably going through hell right now, and I want to see her more and interact with her more. Kind of like she's in the same box that Bela's in. Like, they're both so interesting, and I want more, but they're not going to give us much more.
Well, I mean, yeah, but Bela's actually gotten, shit to do. That scene with her and Corliss last week was awesome. It was one of my favorites.
Yes.
And then, like, we get like a half second of Helena talking to Eamon, and then just cut the scene. It was like, no, what are you doing? Give me more of that scene.
Yeah.
I also really thought, actually, that Eamon might be the missing variable in this kind of scene, because, like, he is the one who needs to respond to this, right? And whose reaction we need to see. And maybe we'll get that next week, and who knows, maybe he sends, Alicent out of the city for her own safety or whatever, instead of just, like, go be domestic. But, like, I don't know how they would have gotten him out there. But to me, I don't know. I feel like if he had been involved in this, that would have been a much stronger, because he doesn't even put together. He's like, when they're like, oh, the people are mad at us because they don't have food. And he's like, well, why are they mad at me? I'm not the king. And it's like, remember how you closed the doors of the city last week? Like, that was you. But, like, yeah, so for him to have to, I don't know, not consequences, but, like, I guess see some of what the reality is, and I don't think he would react well to that. He would probably just kill most of those people, but, like, I don't know. It's just, nobody in the scene surprised me in any way, and if it's supposed to be a traumatizing scene, I feel like that is important in a scene like that. Like Kristen in, at Rook's Rest, where, like, he wakes up and you're like, oh my gosh, this is a different man,
Yeah, see, I don't know. I simply think they needed them there to have, some sort of named character involved in the riot.
But then just have them like throw stuff against the castle and, like, watch from the windows and be scared. And have Helena have a panic attack there, I don't know.
There was just nothing of consequence. They should have. I think the comparison would be the riot in season 2 of Game of Thrones. That was much more intense, much more scary. Like, something like that.
A High Septon got his head bashed in with his own crown. Yeah. No, I agree, and I almost wonder. I feel like when you're writing, there's sometimes, like, scenes that you start with, and you're like, this is a great idea. This is a linchpin scene. This, like, is carrying all this weight and whatever. And then as the story evolves around it, you end up not needing it, and it ends up not doing anything, but it's still there because you decided it was important, so you can't think of it as not important. And, like, I almost wonder if that was, like, the case with this. That, like, an early concept of this episode was, like, there needs to be a riot in King's Landing and Alicent has to see it firsthand,
I mean, I think it's still theoretically. Again, I think theoretically.
Yeah, you need the riot.
It's just the execution was just off. I think that's it. If it just there's just more at stake. You don't care about the Kingsguard that got killed. It doesn't even have a name. Have somebody there, even if it's just a minor character that gets really, really put in danger. Well, yeah, like you said, Helena gets panic attack. It goes really awry. Then yeah, okay. But yeah, having a scene like that itself could work. It's just.
All right, let's do it.
So I see that there's a couple more seats.
God damn it.
This was a long episode.
I've been sitting here for 2 hours. I've watched this scene like 5 times today.
Any more thoughts about Aegon and Larry's talking? I know we kind of talked about that already.
Yes, I do. I'm sorry. I do. I just feel like this needed to be prefaced by Aegon having some reaction to his own condition, Yeah. Like, the fact that it was a very powerful conversation and they both killed it and it was really well written. Like, the scene itself is fine. I just felt like the part 1 of it, in which we are exposed to Aegon either thinking that he's fine or that he's reacting to, like, a maid's disgust or something like that, would have, this felt like a part B, I guess, to something that didn't have a part A.
To me, this scene felt like an apology for the foot fetish scene from last year to the disabled community, but it also makes sense, I think. It's a good conversation.
Oh, definitely. Matthew Needham swinging for that supporting actor nomination that he probably won't get, but does deserve.
Yes. All right, and then we have this final scene with Damon with Viserys again crying over dead Emma, and Simon cuts in, and we find out that Lord Grover of House Tully is dead, and Oscar is in the ruling now. Apparently, Alice Rivers came to his aid, but she could not revive him. Huh.
I did actually like Damon asking about. He's like, out of curiosity, how did he die? And then just kind of like the smirk on his face, like a fucking course.
That was pretty excellent. I felt like this was pretty touching with Patty as well. It was nice to see him again. I also, I wonder, like, why is she doing this?
Right, yeah. I mean, we don't know. Yeah, that is the main question after this episode, as to what exactly are her motivations, and we'll cross that bridge when they give it to us.
Yeah, this is the most consequential thing of the whole Harrenhal crap being stretched over 5 episodes. I don't know how long this has been. Now finally something that's plot.
Mm-hmm.
And like Alice.
It's also sorry.
No, Alice is actually doing.
Also, I think the first scene where Damon is proactive in one of his dreams/visions. Whereas before, he's always like he's doing things, but he's always horrified. Like kills Rhaenyra, he sleeps with his mom. Like he tries to run from the throne room. Yeah, that one sticks out. But here, like he's doing the thing that, like deep down, he wishes he could have done, like in his heart of hearts, and that he knows he wasn't there. He didn't do it at all. It's like a step towards compassion and reconciliation. Like he can't get it from his brother because his brother is dead, but it's like, I wish I could have done this thing for you, and maybe things would have been different between us. And then it comes at the exact moment that like plot in the outside world is taking a leap forward.
Yeah, I thought that this was one of the better of his fever dreams. It makes sense. It moves him forward emotionally. He is able to not feel guilty about this, at least this aspect of his life. All right, guys, it's dragon riding time. All right. What, you haven't seen all the jokes that everybody's already made? So we have Adam on the beach again. Sea Smoke is playing around with him, and it looks like she's interested in Adam. We don't know in what way at first. And then all of a sudden, she comes out of nowhere while he's running through the not-so woods of Driftmark, and she corners him, and Adam becomes a dragon rider.
This felt extremely to me like, I knew it. Like, he was just like, I knew that thing was following me. I knew it.
Yes. It's a good origin story.
We don't really have time for dragon claiming, so we're gonna do people claiming.
To me, sorry, Bing, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying. I don't know what dragon claim could be better than this. It's fun. It's a dragon chasing a person. This is one of the most lovely love stories in this entire series.
Yeah, I just the dragons don't really do that. It kind of bothers me, but it's over. So,
I'll be honest. Yeah, again, I understand what you're feeling. I do never.
You know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I never cared about the dragons at all. So this was fun to me.
Yeah. But it's going to be interesting, because now he hasn't acknowledged his bastard sons, and one of them has a dragon. So if he's like, "Oh, son," like that's gonna not come across as well as like, "Oh, hey, by the way, my dead wife kind of told me to bring you guys into the fold, and I was sort of going that way anyway." Like, "Oh, now we've got a dragon. You want to talk to us?"
No, I think it's gonna be more. I think it's gonna be more Rhaenyra like asking Liz.
Well, that's
they're gonna have that scene on the. Yeah, they're gonna have that scene on the.
Right. Yeah.
I wonder Corliss's reaction, how that will be received. That's what I'm curious, because the dynamic between him and these two is kind of what I find most interesting.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, if there's no more thoughts on this, we have my favorite scene of the episode. Rhaenyra and... Yes, Adam?
I was just gonna say, Smokey's a good boy. It's Smokey got Ryder. It's okay. Smokey's a good boy.
I think he just smelled Laenor and was like, somebody like Laenor, and you're like, oh, you're
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think that the leap to make is that either he's dead and they're like, oh, he's missing his bond, or he's not dead, and the only reason he chooses someone is he's like, oh, hey, is that my boy down there? Like, because they're very. It's a son of Corlys, very genetically very similar. Yeah, maybe they got the same smell. That could be it.
All right, so back to Rhaenyra and Mysaria. We have a scene of them talking in Rhaenyra's chambers, and they talk about Jace, Daemon. Rhaenyra talks about how Daemon and her are basically want what each other had. Mysaria tells her devastating story about how she can no longer have kids and her father. Rhaenyra hugs her, and they make. Then they were rudely interrupted because I forget his name.
Because the director yelled "cut."
But Cecil has
Harley said this wasn't in the script. Apparently, this was like the making out was an ad lib.
What? Are you kidding me?
I don't know if that's. He said something to that effect in the comment thread. I was like, "What?" I don't know where he got that from, but that's quite a choice.
It was their recommendation that because originally the kiss was not in the script, and they felt it was just something Rhaenyra would do. Which good for Rhaenyra.
Yeah, go for it.
I think it's something Rhaenyra would.
Absolutely. Yeah. She's almost just as isolated as Allison is.
It felt genuine, and I mean they've had a lot of lingering glances talking about dragon loneliness, and as soon as Rhaenyra was like, "Oh, I wish I was a man," I was like, "Girl, there's some vibes in this room." I mean, it was hot. I mean, it was super hot. And the fact that it comes out of a moment of shared vulnerability went a long way to making it super hot. She sniffs her.
Yeah. And then they were caught.
Spring apart like cats.
Yeah,
it was a good scene.
That's also the thing, right? Because I really like kind of Rhaenyra's breakdown of how things have gone in her life. I like that dialogue speech from her. I like kind of the choice that plays over Mysaria's face, where she's like, all right, am I gonna tell this story now or not? I just thought it was all fantastic. And I like they hear the dragon has the rider. I like the look, they look at each other kind of having a conversation half in their head, half out loud,
right.
Good shit.
Oh, this is definitely more important. Honestly, I feel like a lot of people were expecting Daemon to maybe have something going on with Alice, and it's kind of the opposite here. We get the opposite happening with Rhaenyra and Mysaria, which I like. These are all imperfect people, and also Rhaenyra feels very lonely in this world where she's just surrounded by men telling her what she could do, and Mysaria has worked for her.
And overall, they've just I'm glad they succeeded in turning Mysaria around, just because season 1 was a disaster in terms of writing and all that, and so I'm glad they were able to make the necessary changes to do this right.
Now,
it's kind of remarkable because I was of the same opinion. I found her insufferable the first season, and now I'm like, yeah, she's on Team Black. I fully buy her integration into this side of the war. I'm glad to have her stick around.
And I mean, it was only ever a problem, the writing and direction. Sonoya has always been capable of this. They just needed to let her fucking do it.
Yeah. So do we think that Mysaria's intentions here are genuine, or do you think that she is, maybe just playing along to gain something of her own? I know that was a question that some people were discussing.
Yeah,
here.
I was surprised to see that question because I have no other thought about it other than it at all. Sometimes things are just good at face value.
I'm not totally sure. She did have a look across her face at one point in the conversation where I don't know, I could just see her thinking like, oh, this is the side of me that I need to use now, which doesn't mean she doesn't like Rhaenyra or isn't like, willing to go here with her. I think it would be very silly on Nazaria's part to not be cognizant of the advantages of this and potential disadvantages, and it would be out of character.
For sure, she was definitely trying to figure out what route to take to like pull like Rhaenyra like out of kind of the spiral she was threatening to go into, to like make sure that she stays on track and is still like proactive in what she's gonna do in terms of this conflict. So I think there's definitely some strategic decisions to like why she to tell the story, and just her like wording in general with that. But no, I think the interest is genuine. And yeah, it's similar to Rhaenys, where it's just like she's bought in that like Rhaenyra is capable of this. But she needs to be supported and held on course, which is obviously going to eventually fail.
Any other thoughts?
Annoyed at the cliffhanger, but I'm excited.
Yeah, I was kind of like all of that, and we're gonna wait for the next episode for the Sea Smoke Cyrax meeting, I guess.
Yeah, it's definitely a very personal thing with me later in life. I'm just done with cliffhangers. I don't need them. I don't need them at all anymore. Man.
It just didn't seem necessary to me. We know who's on the dragon explicitly.
Oh yeah, no, I think it's just more, more seeing how the scene plays out or not. Yeah. To me, the cliffhanger is just like how that confrontation is going to go. And
I just didn't feel that was like the squeeze was not worth the juice at that point, especially since I feel like we could have actually had this conversation with Alan and have this all happen in like the gaps of where the episode was going too long. But we'll see.
Yeah, and so next episode, I feel like we've already talked about what we're going to be looking for with Cyrax and Sea Smoke. We see Alicent in a place. I did have a thought earlier, like maybe she's going to like the Targaryen summer home, and then I was like, Summer Isles. Could be another magical place they could look into. But
she's going to the ghost field from Gladiator.
Right, that's what it looked like.
And run her hand through the wheat.
It's a weird way to advertise for the new movie.
Paul Mescal was Darren. What's happening?
Right. I don't know. Anybody else have any thoughts about the next episode?
Yeah, we're gonna get some confrontation in Harrenhal, perhaps some old gods nonsense, or not nonsense, but some references.
Yeah, I'm still pissed that we didn't get that show about the First Men and the Children of the Forest and all that.
The like blood mood thing or whatever it was.
Yeah.
That could have gone real bad.
I know, but I want
it. Shot a pilot. I mean,
I want it. I want the lore.
No, I agree.
No, what you really want is the Jon Snow show.
I don't know if you want the lore from Paul.
A lot of these shows are not going to make it.
Yeah, I agree. The lore is interesting, but yeah, I feel like there were many ways that could go wrong.
I just don't think there's a show there.
Probably not.
I forgot what I was just going to say. Never mind.
Aww.
I'm sure it was brilliant.
It definitely was.
Fire.
Oh yeah. Oh, it wasn't brilliant. It was factual. If anyone's going to be at San Diego Comic-Con, they're having an early screening on Friday night of episode 7, and I think Ryan Condal's going to be there because he's on a panel on Saturday morning. So
Friday night.
Yeah. I will not be going because I will be in the Dragon Prince screening.
Oh, so. It's at the same time. Competing dragons. Ooh,
yeah.
It's
You might say it's a dance.
It might be wait, are they Ballroom 20 and where are you guys at?
No, we're in Ballroom 20 actually.
Oh, huh. Good.
That's flattering. No, I agree.
No,
it's like, really? Them?
Which episode is yours, by the way?
Episode 7
of season 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
It's called The Red Wedding.
Is it?
It is.
No.
That's
Okay, I was catching up on the last season, like a few weeks ago, and there was a joke in there, and I was like, I wonder if like that sounded a lot like me.
Which one? I probably won't remember, but
I can't remember what it was now. I just remember at the moment being like, I should ask her if she did that. But
Take better notes, Adam.
yeah.
All right. So let's say goodbye here. Thanks all for listening. You can find us on Discord. That's where we are primarily. And you can also find us on various other websites that you probably know about. Thanks for joining us, and have a good rest of your days, evenings, whatever. Bye, y'all.
Thank you so much.
Yay.
All those horny dragons. Okay.
I was running late from a family dinner, and our landlords have a sprinkler going on in their yard, which is going to our pathway, and I just got soaked by it.
Oh, well, we just had storms here, that did that.
See, that's acceptable, getting wet. This was not acceptable.
You're like, how dare someone sprinkle me?
I come in at the best moments, I swear.
We're just talking about literal sprinklers, not anything else.
Don't ruin this for me.
Yeah, let her enjoy it. I believe a sprinkle is when you have a baby shower, but for like after the first baby, which I only learned not that long ago. Like, we're having a sprinkle. I'm like, what's that? Like, oh, we're having a baby. And I'm like, isn't that a baby shower? Like, no, that's only for your first baby. I'm like,
it's just a little sprinkle.
I thought you had a baby shower for every baby you had. We only have one, so I don't know. I was just like, you don't always have a baby shower? Like, no, it's only for the first one. Like, oh, I guess, yeah, people aren't going to give you free shit every time.
As an oldest, although I don't think there was a baby shower for me, this pleases me.
I don't think we had a baby shower for...
Were you sprinkled on me? Oh, I also see the Blackfires went to the trouble of naming small council members, so the rebellion has grown.
Oh my god!
I think they'll be calling up their banners maybe and raising an army soon. So we'll have to figure something out.
They're all really stupid. I'm sorry. It's just Sir Stefan is like he's like burning to death, and I'm like, do you think that they have like an endless supply of hard armor? No.
Yeah, why was he wearing the armor anyway? That would get in the way of the dragon.
What the heck?
I have so many like dragon claiming complaints about this episode. It's probably not legit, but
ooh, I'm probably gonna be the only one that liked the.
I mean, I didn't hate this episode. It's just like I was really looking forward to dragon claiming things, and so far they've fucked it up. So.
All right, I think we have enough people to start soon. Let me be more organized than I was last time and actually put like an order to things.
My alarm is going to go off in like a few minutes because I have to go check that my nephew is still asleep. So
Aww.
Apologies for that. He's really cute. It happens to me. Also, like, disgusting.
Okay, that's the order. And it's just how people came up on the screen. It's not by favorites. But you can think it is.
That's what I always do too. I'm just like, Discord decides.
It's alphabetical mostly.
I should change my name. Name to something that's.
Sometimes I'm like, I'll go from the bottom up, then. But that's about it. Yeah, you could be Zing. Yeah.
Yeah, you could do that's how. Sometimes I like that my last name starts with a Z. Sometimes I hate it. All right.
Out of curiosity, did your teachers in school ever have to like shake up the roster every now and then for your benefit? They're like, let's start with Z so Casey can go first.
Oh no. No. In second grade, so you're about to get a story. So in second grade grade, we had to line up an alphabetical order every time we went to lunch or anywhere. And you know, like I had my 1 week of being line leader and my other week of being line ender, even though I was always line ender. But I would always get lunch last, so I would always get like the whatever was left over because of that. And it was always annoying.
Wow, that's very tragic.
last pickings, last seat, so it was never in the middle where it's more social. I always had to be on the end. Yeah. Second grade Casey was not happy.
In an orphanage situation, this is like life or death.
True.
They're quietly oppressed.
Florida, man. That was the Florida school system.
You grew up in Florida?
No, I just had 3. I lived there for 3 years.
Okay.
Did the sprinklers drive you away?